Your favorite film is awful.
Hello, and welcome to Your Favourite Film is Awful, the weekly show where we take your favourite films and defend them against negative reviews. As always, I'm with Charlie Lilly. Say hello, Charlie. And today we're with Sean Grimsley. How you doing, Sean?
Word up to your mums.
Word up to your mums, indeed. And as always, I'm Luke Powell. And once again, I forgot to introduce myself like the fool I am. How are you both? Have you watched anything interesting? Sean, you go first, because we rarely see you here.
Oh, it has been a moment. What have I been watching? I've watched Heat about 4 more times because
Fantastic.
I can never get enough since the last episode. No, I have been. I managed to get to the cinema first time back.
Nice.
First time back, long time caller, and. Yeah, that was. It wasn't the greatest first-time cinema experience. I got rained on and then sat in the cold rain. Cinemas are cold. So, but yeah, I'm happy cinemas are open again. Got to see that, and on TV, I've been watching Mayor of Easttown, the new HBO show with Kate Winslet, which I highly recommend. I think I've done 4 episodes. It might be 5. But it's it's strong. I'm really enjoying the world building and the kind of detailed characterization that's going on in that show. So solid recommendation from me there.
Okay.
Love it. And Charlie, what are you bringing today?
What am I bringing today? Or do you want to know what I watched first?
What are you bringing as a social element to the show?
Okay. So I watched Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was I enjoyed
Let them
it.
fight.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It was
Did the
was
big
exactly what I
monkey
wanted.
win?
It was in the cinema.
Big
and
monkey.
as soon as the Godzilla roared, I could feel it in my chest. I was almost a bit scared because I haven't heard anything this loud in so long. But yeah, I loved it. So the film itself was do you know what? It was exactly what I wanted from that movie. You know, it didn't try to take itself too seriously. Just Godzilla and Kong smashing each other, beating each other up. You know what I mean? The whole time.
It's an X-rated movie.
Yeah. Smashing each other.
Are you sure you watched the right version of the movie?
Yeah, maybe not.
Which cinema in Soho did you walk into?
How many X's were on the door?
Was Pee Wee Herman there?
That's funny. But I did enjoy it a lot. It was it was like 3 stars. I think I'd give it. It was, it entertained me a lot. It's Godzilla vs. Kong. What more could you expect? It has some crazy ideas in it. There's certain movie threads that I don't feel like you need, but I had a good time, and it was a good entry back into the cinema, particularly for the sound.
The spectacle of it.
Yes, exactly. The pure spectacle of it. Big blockbuster movie.
And Lucas, what about yourself? What have you been watching?
What have I been watching? So, of course, I'm now back in London, so I had to marathon all the stuff that my parents had on Sky. So I smashed the 2nd series of Westworld, which it's not as good as the 1st season, but it's Westworld. I fucking love Westworld. I love that, it had the potential to be like a Star Wars, because it's not based on anything. It's just, it's so good. It's so great. I love it. And then I watched Resident Alien, which is the new series based on a graphic novel starring Alan Tudyk. That's great. It's very different to the graphic novel, but the translation just works better as a TV show. You couldn't directly translate it and make it still good. But his comic performance is just top notch. But then all the serious elements are also great. That's what I've watched. I've sped through both of those before either of you got the chance to talk about either of them.
I know nothing about either of them.
I've only seen the first episode of Westworld, and I just found it. I feel like there wasn't many characters. It felt very plot based, and I didn't find the characters particularly interesting, and I struggle with that.
I think
Right.
I have seen
Especially
the whole
TV show.
first season of Westworld, sorry, and it does move past that.
Okay.
It's for
Well, yeah,
sure.
it does like a plot setup and then lets the characters
Okay, I'll have to watch more.
do.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I can't speak for season 2 because I I never went back to it, but season 3 looked more interesting to me than anything that had come before it because it's set present day. So I was curious to see how that would play out. Plus Aaron Paul's in it, and we like Aaron Paul.
He's not done anything wrong yet.
I like the original Westworld. Is it the Yul Brynner one?
Yul Brynner movie,
Right.
yeah.
I like that one. That's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there we go.
Well, that's it. That's what we've done.
Right,
Now,
Charlie,
to-
you've got a week to watch all of Westworld and report back.
Ooh, fair.
Next episode,
done.
all of Westworld, all 3 seasons. No. Right, we're going to the title of the episode. Alien Covenant. This wasn't fan submitted. Charlie, why are we doing this film? Why are we doing this film, Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie.
Why
Yeah,
are we doing it?
Charlie.
So I recently rewatched this movie, and I stood at the cinema at the time, and I remember being like, it's alright. I rewatched it whilst watching all of the Alien movies in essentially like in order. I watched every one of them. I watched the Alien 3 for the first time and all this, and I feel like it's a lot better than I gave it credit for. And I think we're going to have an interesting discussion on this movie. I know that it's got very mixed reviews, and I think that this will be hopefully a good episode. And also, I've just been in a bit of an Alien mood, so I just want to talk about Alien, to be fair. I forgot how much I love them.
Fair. Well, you spoke for quite a bit there, so I was going to give you the mic, but I'm actually going to give Sean the mic. Sean, what's Alien Covenant about?
I think it's about Ridley Scott approaching death.
I mean,
Wow, existential. I was looking for like plot points, story
Okay.
beats.
A group of, it's set 10 years after Prometheus, and a group of colonizers are traveling to a planet that they've searched for, and I think it's about 7 years away from them. And whilst an accident wakes them up early, they also find a like distress beacon from a planet that they didn't know was nearby, and go and try to see what that is, and then hijinks ensue.
Gotta love some hijinks.
Love me some hijinks.
And of course, you mentioned Ridley Scott, which is interesting because it's going to be in the first review that I talk about. So this is from Drew Che. It's a half star because that's what we do here, and it's a very simple sentence. I think they get the point across beautifully. I hope Ridley Scott feels comfortable and happy up his own arse.
how dare they?
Say it like Pacino in Heat.
Oh, God. Up his own arse.
I think I find that offensive to our
To
Lord and
people
Saviour,
with
Ridley
arses?
Scott.
Our Lord and Saviour.
Ridley Scott. I mean, the man is literally 83. He was born in 1937, and he's still making movies. He's got 2 movies coming out this year, right? This. How dare you insult the man that gave us Alien 1, Blade Runner, Gladiator, Thelma and Louise, Alien Covenant, and Prometheus. Kingdom of
Wait,
Heaven,
you
if like
can't
that
put
as well.
Prometheus on that list.
That's
No,
true.
no.
It's true. But I'm gonna put it anyway.
You even
right?
needed to breathe because you
I'm
couldn't
gonna put
say it in
yeah,
the
I
same
was like,
breath.
It kind of hurt to say it, but Prometheus has some interesting ideas. But yeah, Ridley Scott. How dare you? Yeah, how could you? I mean, I guess you could say, he's up his own arse because he's questioning who our creators are. The big existential questions that we all ask ourselves: who our creators are, what's out there, androids, AI, all this stuff. But I actually don't find this movie pretentious. Not like its predecessor before, which is Prometheus, which I do think that you could probably make that statement of it being a bit up its own arse in places. I think that this one goes more back to its roots. I think it goes more down the Alien, whilst also keeping those ideas that I thought were interesting from Prometheus, particularly with the android stuff. It does feel like at times that this is kind of Ridley Scott doing what he would wanted to have done with like Blade Runner in a weird way in terms of the whole David stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're going to get into it, but I don't want to hold the mic for too long. But yeah, I think that's not fair to say that Ridley Scott was up his own arse. But Sean, what do you think about that?
I'm torn. Nothing's right, I'm Sean. I don't think it's pretentious in the way that, like something that Zack Snyder might produce is pretentious, in a completely unironic way. But I do think it has an air of pretension about it in the sense of like Ridley Scott just being like, Alien is mine. Like, I'm the only person that can really do Alien right. And I think this film's really interesting because, much like you, a lot of the ideas that are in Prometheus I like. The execution of that movie is ridiculous. And this one kind of keeps some of those ideas, which I agree with you. It's very Blade Runner-esque. I think it's kind of... I think they're interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it even opens with the same shot as Blade Runner, with the eye.
Oh, yeah, with the eye.
Yeah,
exactly that,
shot.
yeah. That's a good point. But you're also talking to someone that doesn't like Blade Runner. So
I mean, it's funny because I'm like in middle ground with Blade Runner, so it's interesting.
But where this film, I think, falters is that those ideas are peppered in, but it's all plot. There's very little character stuff going on in this movie, and like I think it really suffers as a result of that.
What you're telling me when our main lady is fixing the cars and like the chains and just reels off some exposition about her cabin, like her log cabin by the lake, that's not pure character?
I was actually reading that James Franco's like role where there was actually supposed to be a scene with him and her in New York talking about building that lake cabin, but they decided to cut it because she says it there anyway. And I'm kind of like, that's exactly the opposite of how you do filmmaking. Like, it's show, do not tell. And so, like, spoiler. Also, this is going to be spoiler alert territory, people. So, 100%. Spoiler alert. When that line comes in at the end, you're just like, well, one, I saw it coming a mile off, but also, like, come on, like, really, like we're supposed to care, like we really give a shit. It's I do actually want to say though, like, I think this is an okay film. Like, I think this is probably like the 4th best Alien film.
I would go as far to say it's a good movie and that it is the 3rd best Alien movie.
You think it's the 3rd best?
Nice.
So what is it?
The 3rd best.
What's your order?
Well, one, Alien and Aliens are, but Alien for one for me first, then Aliens, and then Covenant.
You put Covenant above Resurrection?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think because as much as I like Resurrection for its set piece and stuff, it has so much dumb stuff to do with like the Ridley clone thing. And I know they're kind of working off the traps that they were given in 3. But like, I feel like at least this tries to do something different. It tries to like answer questions that haven't been answered in the alien world, like where did they come from, and things like that. And I think it feels like a vision, like regardless of what you like about the movie. I think Prometheus and Alien Covenant feel like they're visionaries. It's a Ridley Scott movie, and I think like if you look at like if you looked at it from a filmmaking standpoint, I think a lot of it is like the cinematography, the sets, and the effects. I think are amazing in this movie. But I just feel like Luke, you're frowning there. Are you disagreeing with what I'm saying?
Please, Luke. I'm kind of on like I think this is a 3-star movie, and so like the 2 stars that it's missing, they're missing because I really think there's some bad stuff in there, and the 3 stars that it's got, I think there's some really fun stuff in there. But I'm curious where you fall on this, Luke.
Right, so okay, let's get some big things out of the way first. I haven't seen Prometheus. Straight out there.
Oh wow.
That's interesting.
Alien.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Alien 3, and I think I've seen the Redemption, Resurrection, whatever that. Yeah, I think I've seen those 2, but also I think they've mixed in my brain and just become one movie that I could not discern which one was from which film.
Yeah.
For this film, I think what you were just saying, it's like Star Wars solo, a Star Wars story.
Okay.
Where it has bits where
so
it's
great then.
I like this analogy, and I'm going to pick up on it in a minute, but carry on.
Yeah. it's like so the big scene is when Harrison Ford's not in the film, when when Solo gets his gun.
Oh, Woody Harrelson Solo, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, when Solo gets his gun, and it's like, hey, this is how Solo got his gun. This is how Chewbacca got his belt. But this is the film version of that scene where did anybody need to know that the perfect killing machine was made by an android? No.
I agree.
But I know what you mean, but I do like that he tries to do that, and I like that the thing that the humans created kills their humans creator and then creates the ultimate thing to wipe them out. Like I think that's interesting. I think it's a different way of doing like the the Terminator Skynet stuff of like.
Well, yeah, it's
eventually.
Made Skynet. Skynet made the Terminators. The Terminators killed us.
Yeah, and I think it runs in theme with what the other Alien movies are about, which is like the humans are the real sort of bad guys, the threat. And I think and it's through pushing all this the technology and stuff that we're gonna shoot ourselves in the foot essentially. And I think I like that David represents that. I think it's interesting. I think there's loads of interesting things they deal with AI in terms of his reason for this is that he's missing that creative element that humans have, and that he wants to be a creator himself. He wants to have that ability, but he can't because of his system. But obviously it points out that he's a flawed AI as well, and I think that's fascinating. I think the line when Walter says to David, when one note is off, then the entire symphony doesn't work, sort of thing. When he gets the quote, the Ozymandias quote, wrong, or who it was written by. I think that was interesting, and I think that I like the aspect that he he's like he sees this thing as like beautiful, but I also could see it that I don't know what you guys think about it, but I could also see him taking the same. I don't know what they would have done if they did a third movie, but I could also see it that he would have made the same sort of mistakes in terms of the reason why he striked out and and lashed out on humans is because he was treated poorly by them, and that because they were seeking to control him. And I think it's interesting that I think the movie kind of poses the question of him maybe going down that same issue of controlling these things that will get out of hand in later movies. But I just think it's I don't know, I just find it fascinating I think all the David stuff is like it's all the best stuff from Prometheus with Michael Fassbender put into this, but you also get the alien stuff. I really like the scene with the spine burster thing, bursting out his spine. I thought that whole I really do believe the first half is so like it is so well paced. Like I think the first half is like I think it only dips slightly a bit in the middle, but I think the first half like it's constant conflict, constant things happening. Like the straight away from the opening, you can compare this to Prometheus. Prometheus takes ages to get into anything, whereas in Alien Covenant it's like immediately they wake up from their sleep from this energy blast that stopped them. Their captain's been set on fire. They're now getting this weird report down from another planet. They go down there. People start getting picked off one by one immediately. As soon as they get there, things are getting attacked. And then we get and then we have like the great scene where it's cutting between the guys in the sort of forest with this new alien that's bursting out of this guy from the spores, with the guy with the two ladies in the medical bay, and the guy's spine, the alien come out the spine. The way she slips, boom, like the tension in that whole scene, I think is so good. Like, I think that whole, but
no. I'm sorry. That turned this film into a comedy for me. Two people slipped on the same puddle of blood.
No, but I just think that's realistic though. Like, I think the way she cut, and like,
I
they're not
saw that
trained
and
soldiers,
started
are they per se?
cackling.
They're just like colonists. You know what I mean, they're just. And I like that they slip on that blood, boom. Like, I think it adds to the whole tension of it. Like, it's like we said that about this before. Like, Luke. It's like horror movies. Yeah, there's these tropes of people falling over and stuff, but they're there for a reason. They're there for you know, to add tension, to do these things. And I think that was a great way of like that shit would happen. Like you're not always gonna pick up a gun and start shooting stuff, and you're gonna aim and hit it properly. Like you're gonna slip on some stuff, especially in the panic of it all. And then when she gets her foot stuck, fantastic.
Like the foot stuck bit, great. The puddle bit, hilarious. I'm gonna say this now. You could make some tiny changes and turn this into a full-blown comedy film. Like it is hilarious. I'm just gonna say it now. I was gonna ask you to, but I don't care anymore. My favorite scene is the chest burster. He comes out and David just like is like, hey,
dancing with it. Yeah.
the little white alien's like, hey, how you doing, Daddy? Yay! And he's got his little arms in his air, like you don't care. And I was like, what is this film?
This is so funny to hear this.
This is the Xenomorphs, some of the scariest motherfuckers in the universe, and he's just like, hey, how you doing?
I like that you're seeing it through his eyes. You're seeing the beauty of it, and that he's the creator.
It's so there was a lot said there. It's been a
so it's been a bit of a ride already.
There was a lot.
You wanted to interject like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. I actually so interestingly enough, I think this is a movie of two halves as well. For all of its like, it's not very rich like material in terms of like character work for me. But the first hour, you're right, it's paced really, really well. Like it is just constant moving. Everything happens one after the other, and everything just gets piled on really, really quickly. And I remember seeing it in the cinema back in when did it come out? 2017. 2017. I went like opening night. Wasn't expecting much based on Prometheus, and was pleasantly surprised because it kind of pared down all of that pretension and just kind of went, we're going to do a kind of a James Cameron thing, but we're going to try and make it like a bit more less cerebral and do the kind of like straight up action horror thing, but not as good as James Cameron. And then David turns up, and the movie turns. Like, even though it doesn't knock you over the head as hard as Prometheus did with whatever Prometheus was trying to achieve, and I don't think anybody knows, including Ridley Scott or Damon Lindelof. But it's that point of the movie where I was completely turned off. Like, I was just like, that back half of the movie just is, I'm out. I'm done. It's almost, it parodies itself. It parodies Alien 2 in certain places. And it doesn't call back to it in a way that I enjoy. You know, like in the way that Macquarie used all of the past Mission Impossible, like, tropes in 7 to kind of, like, subvert expectations or reference them. Where it was, like, just a nice little, something for the audience. But with this one, it just felt like, I still don't think Ridley Scott has a handle on exactly what he wants to do. And and it was interesting that you compared this to Solo for me, because for me both Ron Howard and Ridley Scott exist in the exact same category of studio directors for hire. Sometimes they can come up with something really, really good. It's always competent. It's never but the success of their movies completely depends on the quality of the script. I still don't believe that Ridley Scott is able to discern what a good script is over a bad script. But because even his best films, you know, like probably regarded as his best film is Alien, Gladiator, and Blade Runner. Blade Runner I don't like, straight up. Like I just think it's a mess. Gladiator.
But do you not think, just quickly, just to
go on? Yeah,
though,
no, please.
Do you not think that the filmmaking of Blade Runner, because I do kind of agree with you in terms of the script of Blade Runner. I think it's a bit bland at times, especially the character work. But I find every time I watch it, I'm in awe of the filmmaking, like the sets, the sound design, the cinematography, like everything around it, other than the sort of script elements. I'm always, and I think that speaks to him as a filmmaker to do that again after doing Alien. But yeah, I do kind of see what you mean by the Ron Howard comparison. But carry on, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just
I
like
agree.
Even like he has made some great films. Don't get me wrong. Like I can't deny like what he did with Alien is iconic. I don't think he's ever bettered it though. Like I don't think he's ever like the expectations that he set there, he's never gone above them ever again. I don't think he's ever met them. And it's and I think Ron Howard is the same. You know, like it's always competently made. He knows how to make a film, and from what I understand, both of them actually work pretty quickly in terms of like both on set and also working on the next project. But they're machines. It almost feels mechanical, and for me, it always depends on the quality of the script as to what they are. I don't think of Ridley Scott as one of the great directors. I think of him as someone that has made one great iconic movie. But again, how much of that is down... Like, James Cameron took the same kind of alien creature and made an entirely different kind of movie. And it was just... It's arguably just as good, because we all say, how do you distinguish between the two? They're kind of different genres, but they're equally as good as one another. I don't think that this is a property that Ridley Scott should have an entitlement to own. But yeah, I don't think that Ridley Scott has like the sole ownership of the Alien franchise. And you know, like when he did Prometheus, everyone was like, finally it's going back. But I don't think he does. I don't think he's doing, you know, I don't think he's taking it anywhere special, especially. And you know, we all have problems with Alien movies, and I think it's time to pass the torch on to someone that's genuinely talented. Like I would really like to see what Rian Johnson would do with a fucking Alien movie. I mean, he's never going to do it, but do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's younger, fresher blood out there that could take it on, and I think Ridley Scott is weighed down with. I don't think anybody is interested in Ridley Scott's take on where aliens should go with this whole creation thing. I'm not saying it's not interesting. I'm not saying there's not a good story to be told there, but I don't need to know where Jaws came from for it to be a good fucking movie about a monster. And I think what you mean. Yeah, and I think Ridley got bogged down in that by kind of going, what happens if I mash up my like Blade Runner in this? You know, I think with the third one he'd probably do some story about some, you know, alien that fought for Alien Decimus Meridius, and then he'd have his trilogy of these are my best films ever.
But do you not feel like he's tried to do something different as opposed to what I think with the other Alien sequels, that they just try to do what's already kind of been done? I feel like at least he's trying to add this other element on, and I like that it feels like its own separate thing. Like, although it has aliens in it, I like that it still feels like its own beast, and it has its own things and conversation topics that it wants to discuss. I think that's what I like about it. I think it tries, and I think that's why I think I draw to it. I actually do like some of the questions posed in this movie with David. I think David's one of the best characters in it. I think a fascinating thing to deal with, and I've often thought of the idea of, well, this movie is 17 years next to Alien, and I've often thought, well, if they did a third one, does that mean Ripley fighting against David? But anyway, that's which I would love to see. But
that's exactly your own point used against you. You're like, he's trying to do something new, but the whole time the thing that we actually want is to bring it all the way back to zero, because that's the thing that makes it effective. It's like, you know, if we look at the greatest franchises in the world, a lot of them don't betray themselves, and when they do, like, you know, you and I both actually quite like Rian Johnson's take on Star Wars because he tried to do something new. It didn't quite work, but if you were to compare that to this, especially Prometheus, you know, like Ridley Scott tried to do something new, but the best parts of that movie, he, like, at the very end of that movie, he brings it all the way back to Alien. The reason that I really like the first half of this is because it works. Like, I feel like I'm playing like an Alien video game or something like that for the first half of this movie, and like it's almost trying to steer the course of Prometheus, like going, I like the ideas in this, but we didn't do it right. How can we steer the course? But I feel like he's tried to steer the course, but also everybody was like, oh, we got off the boat. Like, we're not, we're not on that boat. And that's why I really like the first half of this movie, when it kind of tries to stand alone and be its own thing. I think it really works. Is it a masterpiece of that? No, but the pacing of it goes so quickly that you're allowed to just go along for the ride, and I think it works. And that same logic.
David's one of the best things in it. Do you not think that?
I think Michael. I think the idea of David, but the opening scene of this movie is exactly what's wrong with this movie. It's the opening scene of, you know, like that whole thing of like, who created me, and then he goes, I don't have an answer for that, so be my servant. That's David's whole character thing in a nutshell. But that's not the aspect of this movie that I enjoy. The aspect of the movie I enjoy is that first hour when it's just its own thing of like, here's some people, there's some monsters, it's going to get fucked up. That could have been an entire movie for me, and instead of spending the last kind of 20 minutes with David talking about all that other stuff, we could have spent that first 20 minutes getting to know these characters, much like we did in Alien, where it was like they're talking about whether they're going to get paid, they're talking about, you know, stuff that people can really relate to. And not this kind of like movie idea where we're supposed to care about Catherine Waterston's character because, oh, we were going to build a cabin in the wood. That's not relatable to a lot of people. That's Disney. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's not enough to latch onto to make me care. The movie doesn't fail, though, because of that pacing. Like, I don't think this is a failure of a movie in the slightest. But is there a level of pretension? Yes. Going back to the review, finally. Is there a level of pretension? There is, but not in the movie itself, but in the movie's director.
And he has all the money to be very happy up inside his own ass.
All the money in the world, you could say.
All the money in the world.
I disagree with this, guys. But we need to go to the next review.
We need to do another one. We need to do at least 2 reviews.
To be fair to Charlotte, I hear what he's saying. He's just wrong.
See, that's exactly how I feel about you, Sean. I hear what you're saying, but you're wrong.
That's how Daddy felt about me.
Calm down, lads. Calm down. Right, we're going to do an extract from Roger Moore's review.
Roger Moore?
It says Roger Moore. Yeah.
He was dead when this movie came out.
I don't think it's any relation to the other.
David must have got to Roger Moore.
Anyway. Oh, Roger Moore? There's no D. I never know how to say Roger when there's no D in there. So this is an extract from a longer review. Calm yourselves. As a thriller, Covenant is strictly low-brow horror, eye-rolling scenes where you can shout, "Wait, what? Don't go in there, out there, over there, alone." Nobody listens. Or wears a helmet on this alien planet which once had a civilization that we can see traces of, in addition to the familiar horn-shaped ship that the first aliens were found in. Instead, everybody is dragged into a dank castle straight out of Grand... shit, I looked up how to say this word and I've still fucked it up. Ginol. Yeah, Grand Ginol Castle. And what happens in the Grand Ginol Castles? Ask Edgar Allan Poe. The great Scott entrusts his movie to the great Fassbender, but whatever high debate was intended in his scenes with himself, he cannot overcome the laugh-out-loud stupidity of David teaching Walter something he's learned in his 10 years on this lonely planet: how to play the recorder. Thus, the tagline is all that's really changed in 38 years of Alien pictures. In space, no one can hear you giggle.
I think that's quite harsh. I mean, I don't agree. I mean, I think that kind of stems off of kind of what Sean was saying, in the sense that the stuff that I think Sean liked in this movie is the alien stuff, but we've seen that before. And I think that's what I like about this. I mean, obviously you guys seem to not like that, and this review doesn't like that as much, is the David stuff. I think that's what separates it. I think that's what makes it its own thing and its own reason to exist. I think all that stuff's fascinating. I guess people could find it silly that he's playing the flute and he says, what does he say? It's something about the blow. He's like, the fingering. Don't forget the fingering.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, which is very funny. And obviously Fassbender kissing himself and stuff. But I find all that stuff interesting, that he kind of understands a little bit what love is. He was kind of created a bit too close to what humans are, and therefore that's why he's the flawed android. Whereas Walter, he's had a few human elements stripped away, and he's a bit more straight focused, and he's a bit more of a servant android. And I find that aspect interesting in the sense that we tried to create something close to us, and it ended up being our doom essentially. And I found that whole aspect of it interesting. I think I like that it's kind of about the horror of creation. I think that's fascinating. But I do understand if you don't vibe with that, why you wouldn't like it. I do understand that.
But I also think some of the reason I don't vibe in it is how it's conveyed. Do you know what I mean? Like the tone. I can totally understand. I personally never laughed at this movie. Like I never.
No, I didn't either.
I didn't laugh at it, but I can totally understand why you laughed at it. And the scene that exemplifies it perfectly for me is when Billy Crudup's character wakes up after having the face hugger on it and just looks at David and goes, "What do you believe in, David?" And then David says like, creation or life, I can't remember what he says, and then
creation,
the thing bursts,
and the thing pops out,
and then the thing pops out of his chest. I'm like, the tone, like that's silly, like the rules of the alien world, like don't really, like why would you wake up and say that? Like that comes down to like how the story is being told, and I do think there is a tonal problem with this movie, and also with Prometheus. I think that's, you know, where it went wrong, which you can't say of Alien and Aliens. There's no tonal issues with those movies. Like they know exactly what they're trying to do, and I'm not sure. I think ultimately that's what the problem with, you know, it's hard to talk about Covenant without talking about Prometheus, because you do like I'm interested from Luke's perspective. If he had seen go back and see Prometheus, I really would love to talk to you about that. Yeah, mate.
Especially
now.
If you think of stuff that's silly in this, mate, you are not you're not prepared for someone to go like this to a space cobra.
It's woo. Space cobras, because that's what you were missing from the Alien franchise, by the way. You didn't know that, but you are.
Okay.
It doesn't, but I think, you know, that the fact that it's so much more easy to point at Prometheus and say this is a mess, whereas there's good ideas and there's good pacing and there's good bits in this for a period of time that it kind of masks the other stuff. I agree with you, Charlie. A lot of what they're trying to say in that back end of this film with David and stuff, I think it's really interesting. I just don't know if it's in this. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be part of this movie. And I can totally see you laughing at it. Like that flute scene, it read straight to me. Like I was like, there's something like, but hearing you say it now, I'm like, how did I not laugh when he was like, follow my fingers. Let's finger it. Let's finger and blow together.
I'll do the fingering.
That's it.
It's
also
it
to go off your tonal thing from that scene. Because I haven't seen Prometheus, I just saw a random robot who was on his lonesome, who'd been on his lonesome for a while. Like that's how I approached it. But immediately I was like, is David gonna kill him with that flute? Because I thought he was just gonna ram it right in his throat, and then
so did I. And I'd seen
from then I was like, okay, so David's probably going to repulse Walter. And then the movie carried on. And then you have the switcheroo where they don't show the audience because the audience know that the switcheroo is going to happen. And then he gets on the ship. And honestly, like they played it for so long, I started to doubt myself and went, is that David? I'm pretty sure that's obviously David, right? Is it David?
But that's great. Like, that's what David. They want. That's what you want.
Yeah, but no, they don't want me to think, is that David? They want me to think, oh, good, Walter won. Walter's still here. Maybe Walter got a bit corrupted, but it's still Walter. But from the off, I was like, cool, David gonna kill that guy. Only one Fassbender's coming out of this alive. I can actually, I'm sorry, but I watched the director's commentary and Ridley Scott actually knows that the audience knows that it's David. Okay. And he wants to set that dread up. He wants you to have that exact reaction you had where you're like, oh, maybe it is Walter. Maybe it is. As opposed to, oh, is it David? Sort of thing.
There's that. Okay. It's the sequence where he's like helping them get rid of the alien, and he like touches his face, and it's like it's far more emotional than Walter would be in any situation.
Yes.
So like I always read it as we were supposed to know, and it's that classic thing of the audience knows something the characters don't, so it creates a dread and a tension.
Yes.
But I think the other thing that this movie highlights and exemplifies is that this was the last kind of straw of Michael Fassbender's attempt to be like a mainstream star. Like, don't get me wrong, we all know his name. He's not ever going to be out of work or anything like that. But even when he did Jobs, when they finally gave that role to him, that was a role that they were hoping DiCaprio would take. Do you know what I mean? There was the Sony email leak where they're like, "Is Fassbender famous enough for this?" And it's like, as good as he is he's an incredible actor. I think he does really well with that role, and I think this is a better performance from him than in Prometheus because he gets to play two characters and show the two different sides of it. But he's never been able to do a project that has elevated him into that. I mean, Jobs should have done, but it unfortunately didn't do particularly well at the box office. But he's never crossed over, and I feel like this was like the tail end of that whole movement of Michael Fassbender not quite making it to superstardom like everybody would he did like from a performance perspective deserved to. And I think I was consciously aware of that while I was watching the movie as well, of just being like, this already feels out of date as I'm watching it.
I see what you're saying.
But that's a product that in 10 years' time, is that going to be is that a factor of if the movie's any good or not? That's a product of the times, and it's always interesting to see how our perception of narrative and style stuff works as we go through.
Do you know you was talking about the tone of it? I just wanted to touch on what I think one of the things I actually do like about Prometheus and this movie is the eeriness. I do think he creates a really eeriness that is different to the Alien and Aliens. Like, they have their own eeriness, but this has another kind of eeriness, a more existential kind of eeriness in a weird way for me. I think that a lot of that comes down to Jed Kurzel's score. I think his score is fantastic in this. I like that it's just noises of like strange, like just weird. Like, it really makes me feel deeply uncomfortable, and I like that it's not necessarily like, I mean, the strings do get sort of put into the element of the score, but most of it is just like these eerie noises.
It's like the bow of a ship, like made of metal, like bowing and toing and throwing amongst itself as you move, and it's like I like the score as well. I think it's a pretty good score. Yeah,
definitely. And I think I just wanted to talk about that because I just thought that I don't think a lot of people are talking about it because of the opening had so much of the original score in. That they don't talk necessarily about the scores later on. I think that I really think it gives you a really sort of existential dread, like you're on some sort of weird planet. I like that aspect. I think as well visually, like the locations and the sets are amazing. I really I think that's brilliant. I just wanted to go back to talking about Billy Crudup because I think his character is actually good. I do actually think he's an interesting character. What I like about him is that I like that he comes as soon as James Franco's character's dead, the leader of the ship. He immediately tries to establish his leadership, but in the worst way. And I like that.
Oh yeah, he's a dick.
That. I like the flaw of that. Yeah, but I like that. I like that he's, and I think it plays on because he's a man of faith, and I think it's interesting to see because I know Ridley Scott's not the biggest fan of religion, and I think it's interesting that he kind of pokes at this guy who's like, we've got to have faith, we've got to do this, and doesn't let these other people have time to mourn the death of their captain, and immediately he's like, let's go to this planet. And I do like the character conflict of Catherine Waterston's character and Billy Crudup's character having this leadership conflict of what to do in the scenario. I do think that is some nice character stuff.
I agree. Yeah. I think it presents itself as being really interesting from the go. I'm like, okay, I'm curious to see where this goes. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's ultimately the problem with the movie. Like that scene exists so that almost the only reason I can think that scene really exists is so that we are on the side of Catherine Waterston by the end. Like, she becomes our hero. She's already established that because she's the one that's lost, and they've made her look like Ripley. But like the only scene that comes out of that is when he's like, I shouldn't have brought us here, I'm sorry, and she's like, no, you did what you thought was best, like I stand with you. And it's like,
we need your faith.
So all of that tension was for nothing, essentially. Like, I was like, that's almost what the frustrating part of this movie is. I talk about the pacing and like as moving quickly to be engaged with it, it works, but it almost needs to be a little bit slower in some places because those character moments just aren't there. And for Crudup's character at the end, kills that alien. I'm like, yeah, he's doing his thing, he's taken over that leadership role. And then David's like, come and have a look at this. I've proven to you that I'm a good guy. You put your head in there, have a look. And he goes, all right, I'll have a look. And it's like, this is what was his character arc exactly? I'm not entirely sure what it was meant to be.
Yeah. We had to go back to the review and your comment there. Like,
I just want to say I love Billy Crudup. I love Billy Crudup.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great in the role. I just wanted to say about the whole don't go in there, don't go over there, what you do and what's going on. I couldn't help, because like some part of your brain subconsciously will always refer movies to other movies. So as I was watching it and they came out of the ship without helmets, my first thought was The Thing, and how of course everyone puts it on a pedestal because The Thing, nobody makes any mistakes and they still get fucked. In this film, they all deserve to die. Like, the moment they were like, hey, let's go land during a storm. No, nothing bad can happen there. Let's go outside and go into this wild atmosphere without helmets. Nothing can go wrong here. Let's follow a droid that I've just watched have a face-off with an alien and follow him into a cave on my own and look into this freaking egg.
I can't wait.
Everyone was fucking stupid.
Mate,
I can't wait for you to see Prometheus.
Prometheus. This is, mate, they make brilliant decisions compared to Prometheus. Like,
yeah, honestly, but almost that's why this film, I think I will happily, like, I could sit and watch this film again, like front to back, like even though I've just watched it. I like if it was on, it could stay on, because I think it's better than. It's not as good as it could be, but you can't not compare it to Prometheus, and as a result, it's actually a lot better.
Right. See,
but I just want to go off that point of you saying about the stupid things. I do think that, you know, you were saying about him looking into the egg. I mean, that's exactly what John Hurt does in the original Alien. So
yeah,
but he didn't have an android who just shown that he cannot be trusted. Be like, oh, it's totally safe. Go look at the egg.
He's not completely shown that he hasn't been trusted to Billy Crudup. Billy Crudup's only see him stand in front of that xenomorph.
And then he goes forward and sees the dead body of his crewmate, and he's just like, so you were looking at that alien. One of you's just killed my friend. Yeah, sure, I'll follow you into this mysterious cave.
I think it's because it's inconsistent with what he does as a character. Like, he literally points the gun at David and he's like, I'm going to kill you. Like, I'm going to straight up end you. And then David, like, immediately walks on and is like, no, I want to show you something. And with what he's presented in that room, even before he's looked in at it, if David's like, I want to show you this, you'd be like, what does this have to do with anything? I'm literally going to shoot you, because it just wouldn't make sense. It's that suspension of disbelief where a character does something because it suits the plot. I think if and at that point, it frustrates me as well, because the rules that we understand of the alien universe are completely broken. You know, like the facehuggers get on people and the alien explodes like that. But that's been a thing for a while. I feel like in the other alien movies. I do know what you mean, but like I feel like because we've seen it before, you kind of need to speed up the process. Like we draw it out in the first Alien, but you know we've seen that before, so I don't mind that as much. But I do understand your critique of that. I don't mind it as much. It just frustrates me, and it's like my criticisms of this film really only stem from the point at which David turns up, and it ties back to Prometheus. I think if this had existed as its own entity, I think it could have been, like, that first hour is worth its weight in gold. I could really enjoy that, and I would like to see where it goes. I will say one thing: I think the casting of this movie was really good. A lot of the people in it have gone on to do more things, more recognisable things, and with the exception of the Smo Lay kid who's fucked his life by being an idiot.
Oh yeah.
But you know, like. The casting's great. Amy Seimetz, I think her name is. She's fantastic. The casting of this movie was really, really good. I think Danny McBride actually is probably the really good. Like, surprisingly, like wasn't expecting him in that role. Did a bang up job, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I like that he has a possibility to possibly be in the next one.
It's a proper indie cast, and I think that kind of works in the same way that Alien did. Yes. Because like a lot of those people weren't big names then.
No, it's true.
So I think that ups the stakes. I think that's really good horror casting.
That's good. And I like they killed James Franco off straight away, because he's probably one of the bigger stars, more recognisable stars, and I like that they kill him off straight away, because it's like, oh wait, hold on, this is not going to go. Like, I like when people make casting decisions like that, where they're like, you think, oh, because he's James Franco, he's going to be the lead or whatever, and then he, gets killed straight away in the first 10 minutes or whatever.
I think the stakes of I agree with you. I like it in some ways. I do wonder if the film could have benefited from the stakes of that upping in a different way. Like have him in the first 20 minutes and then kill him. Because then you're just like, whoa, anything can happen here. Whereas I actually remember the first time seeing this in the cinema, I didn't know he was going to be in it. So when they show his face just before he gets burnt up, I was just like,
same.
is that James Franco?
Yeah, I did the
and then
same
he
thing.
dies. I'm like, nah, it wasn't James Franco. And then you get that scene of him doing the rock climbing, and you're like, oh, it was James. That's weird.
Yeah.
And it kind of didn't. It didn't have a like a positive effect on me in some ways. I think I get what they were trying to do, but I don't think it quite worked. I almost wanted it to be like, when you went to see, when you saw Mission Impossible and they kill the whole cast off, but Tom Cruise, in that first, you're just like, whoa, anything can happen here. It's like, I think that's what they were going for. But you can't recreate that without Emilio Estevez. So you need the Vez.
What time are we at? I think we should do our reviews. I think we should reveal ourselves as what we believe in this film. Who wants to go first?
Charlie, you go first.
Charlie, you brought the film. You tell it.
Okay. Okay, right. First of all, there's some interesting things I just want to point out before I go on, and that is that they shot the whole movie with practicals and then did the CGI after. I know.
Oh,
so like the costumes are all there. All the outfit, everyone's there. Like even the little puppets, even the little guy, it was a puppet. Like everything, you name it, they did it practical. And I'm shocked that they.
And then they CGI'd over it.
CGI over it. Yeah, it's
that's
weird.
such a shame.
That's
I know.
The Thing, the most recent The Thing. They did that there as well.
Yeah.
Just stop doing that. Just don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
CG as an accent, please. Just a
little touch. Just
smooth it over.
Yep. Definitely.
Fucking morons.
What's weird is that in the making of, Ridley Scott is saying like, and everyone's talking like the practicals are going to be the thing, and that he's just going to touch it up with a bit of CGI. And you're looking at it like, oh, this looks great. They've got the xenomorph actually there, like the characters actually there, and I'm like, and I'm surprised that they literally stripped all of it to CGI. Do you know what I mean? I understand like doing the tail CGI or things like that. Do you know what I mean? But like, it was that was the only thing I think I find a little bit disappointing about this movie. But yeah, no, that's my flaws out of the way. I really like this movie. I find it a blast. I think it's my third favorite Alien movie, and that is because I get my Alien stuff and I get something new with the android stuff, and I really like that aspect of it. I think the horror is really good. I think that there's some great concepts like it coming out of the spine that makes me feel completely uncomfortable. Set pieces like that I thought were fantastic. I really enjoyed the character. I think David's fantastic. I think Fassbender's performance is incredible in this movie. I think it's amazing, especially when he's acting off each other. I think that technology that they used to do that was amazing. Like to do, I mean, I know he shot it with like some sort of special camera he was talking about, some digital technology where they could replace the background. Because I thought, usually split screen is just literally a split screen effect when it comes to doubles, but I think they used some sort of technology where it rendered the background and they could fit Michael Fassbender in the perfect position or something like that. But and I think it pays off because I just think he's there. I don't think there's a double there. It looks amazing. Fantastic. Yeah, I think I like that I get my Alien stuff as well. I like that they don't. I think that was people's problem with Prometheus was that you don't get any of that. And in this, you get a lot of it. I think they sort of went in on that a bit more. I mean, I think this is a fun movie. I think it's a really fun Alien movie. It's not the best movie ever. It's not maybe the sequel or the prequel or whatever people might have wanted. But I think it's the best Alien movie we've had since Aliens, and I strongly believe that after watching all of them back to back to back. I think it tries to be something different and also gives you the scares and the alien stuff that you've grown to love. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's fun. I think it's a nice little Ridley Scott return in a sense for me. So yeah, I mean, I don't know much more I can say than that, but yeah.
Fair enough. Sean, steal the mic.
When I rock the mic, I'll rock the mic right. Yeah, I think this is an okay Alien film. Like, I think it's probably my fourth favourite. I'd go 1 and 2 are tied, so actually maybe it's my third. Like, but I prefer. I would rather watch Resurrection over this. because I think Resurrection's like really fun, and I think it's actually aged really well. And I
That's my fourth. Resurrection.
Yeah, I can like, but it's a movie. Alien Covenant it's a fine entry into the Alien canon. I think it's a movie where I recognize everything that they kind of want to do, and I'm like, that's a really cool idea, and I'm not sure they managed to pull it off as effectively as it should have been pulled off. But it's by no means I don't think it's a terrible film. It's just, for me, it takes itself a little bit too seriously to really excel, and in doing so can sometimes slip into comedy for some people, it turns out. But yeah, it's fine, and it's nowhere near as bad as I think it's been made out to be, because I actually think it has I think it has a lower IMDb score than Prometheus.
Yes, it bothers me that I don't understand.
And that kind of bugs me, because actually I was like, no, they rectified some of the issue. Like it's coherent, like it's a coherent film, and Prometheus is not. So yeah, it's I don't think Ridley Scott should be allowed anywhere near the franchise again, though. I agree.
I want to see the next one.
I'd take this one's good enough that I would kind of maybe want to see what he does with the third one. But again, I think I truly do not believe we'd end up with a film that isn't equally as good as this one. Like it would just be equally as good as this one. I don't think there's enough left in the tank with this to see what he would do with it. I'd rather see someone like, was it Neil Blomkamp that was going to do
the fifth
an Alien
one,
movie? I'd give me that. I'd rather see someone that grew up with Alien as a fan, and I think he'd make an Aliens kind of movie, and I think that's fun. You know, it's like I can find something in all of the. I really like what's the Alien versus Predator one, the sequel.
One.
No, the sequel.
No, mate,
Requiem.
you don't like it. You don't.
No.
Listen. I watched it recently.
No. I love the
shots.
fact. No, but I love the fact that takes place in a small town. I'm like, that's the setup for that movie, like that small town setup.
I do agree with that.
I'm like, that's really cool. Like, let's see that done well. They didn't do it well, but I was like, let's see that done well. I'm kind of vibing that. Like, I think there's something in every Alien movie, even the really bad ones. So I'm like, there's some great ideas in it, but no one's ever quite got it right since Aliens. Everything's just a little bit off, and I'm not sure I know what it is either. But if someone gave me the reins, I think I would get. I think there's enough in the world of it all that there's clearly a lot of story to be drawn with it. I just don't think we've seen the right ones yet.
Okay.
Yeah. This could have been the greatest comedy starring aliens. It was so funny. Guys, come on, it's so funny.
I think you're fucked up, mate.
Also, I miss... Why was there no stage progression with the xenomorphs in this? Like, I get that they're not the full form xenomorphs that we're used to. But during the film, you don't get, like... You get spores into little xenomorphs. And then that can grow into a big xenomorph. There was no, like... evolution, like the original Pokemon.
You see all the evolution in his room. He talks about it.
I don't care about his stupid exposition room. Fuck out of here. Also, can we talk about how when he approaches the girl washing her hair, he just stands there. He's just a man in a white suit. He's just like, grr. And then
I was okay with that.
Yeah, I like
in the
that.
shower scene,
I like the pracs.
when the xenomorph shows off, he's a full-on pervert where he's like, I'm gonna put my tail up between your legs.
I like
Woo.
that. That's good though, because that kind of goes with the psychosexual stuff of Alien. Like that's why I like it.
Pure like alien comedy right there.
It's like slasher. It's just like a slasher movie. I like that.
You know, I said before, maybe like I don't know what's missing. Maybe it's that. You know, like if we talk about like. You know, in film theorist terms, if Alien is a parable for, you know, like what it is to give birth and womanhood and sex and all of this stuff, and the sequel is about the AIDS epidemic that was tearing up, you know, mostly but not exclusively through the gay communities of the 80s. Yeah. You know, like I feel like all subsequent Alien films have lacked some sort of parable. or what is this? What is this truly trying to comment on? And maybe that's what we're trying to get at, because we don't know the answer to where does life come from or what happens after we die, and because of that, I don't know that that's a good enough thing for us to latch onto within this universe. I've only just thought of this. I'm just putting it out there. Readers, please comment. Let us know what you think. Send us a letter. The address is 123
Alien Covenant Road.
Alien Covenant Road, Luke Powell Avenue.
But yeah, I agree with some of what I understand where you are both coming from a more like positive viewpoint. I haven't seen Prometheus, as already stated, so I can't.
Please do.
I don't have that comparison. I have the god tier Alien and Aliens. I have some murky memory of 3 and the one I keep forgetting: Regeneration.
Resurrection.
Yeah. I have a murky memory of that. Quite in my head, quite a lot is the Predator, the most recent The Predator. You remember that one?
Oh, we don't talk about that. That's
So that's where I'm drawing any sort of like comparison from. But yeah, it was fine. I think it could have been better if it hadn't been attached to the Alien franchise. I think if it was its own thing entirely,
a different monster,
I'd go for an Alien, but not a Xenomorph.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's the reason why people didn't like it. That's interesting, because I do think as a movie, I really enjoy it. I think it's great, and I think maybe a lot of people's problems with it is that it is an Alien movie, and they have that attachment to certain things, like you were saying, Sean, with the chest burster happening too quickly, things like that. I wonder if that's why people didn't. It blows my mind that people put this in the same category as Prometheus in the sense of like the quality of it, because I think it's so much better.
It is.
As much as they're both visual marvels, do you know what I mean? I think that this is actually it's got something to chew on. It's got so.
But yeah, it's adequate. It's a movie. It exists. Would I recommend it to anybody? Probably not. But that's my opinion. Let's do socials. Sean,
we've got less than a minute. I'm just noticing. So it's going to stop.
You've got plenty of time to plug.
Go through your plugs, quick.
Do you plug, Sean?
Watch Full Fat Videos, and my website is SeanGrimsleyFilms.com. If you need any filmmaking, I can do live streaming. I can make you look fantastic. I can make you look awful if that's what you want. I do that.
Fantastic.
Wow, beautiful. Charlie.
And you can find us at FabFilmersAwful on Twitter, Your Favourite Film is Awful on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and Your Favourite Film is Awful on Patreon. Anything else I missed there, Luke? I think I got it all there.
No, I think you've actually finally made it, like, streamlined it.
Streamlined, yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, thank you for joining us on this journey. I don't think we even answered if it's awful or not. I think we kind of just went, it's a film.
I thought it was great, so I think these guys thought it was awful, but
it's
I
a
thought it was
film.
great.
Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Don't let the bed bug spike. I'll tuck in the children.
Oh, God.
What's your favorite? God, that's awful.
Favorite?
Awful. Awful.